So please, can you move to the next slide? So basically, what is a wireframe? Now, a wireframe is a component used to lay out content and functionality of a page, which take into account user need and user journey. Now, what wireframe does in a nutshell is it enables you to lay out both your website or a mobile application before you jump into development. Now, wireframe is not just mainly for a developer, it's meant for everyone, by which you lay out what you are meant to do on a sheet of paper, like a sketch. So wireframe are used earlier in the development work process to establish the basic structure of a page before visual design and what content is what is added. Now, if you actually see by the side, this is a simple home page of a mobile application that shows some images and some buttons. Now, a bare user will understand this before it's been going under other process. So please to the next slide. So what is the aim of a wireframe? The aim of a wireframe is to provide a visual understanding of a page earlier in a project, to give stakeholder and project team approve before a creative phase going on that way. Now, what this does is before the developers jump into coding, the project management or the stakeholder in charge of this project we have a basic understanding of how the website or the mobile application will look like. Just like an illustration of this design here. This is an home page of a website that shows all the thing a user will see in the website. So there will be a deliberation on this, is it approved or not? Is there any addition or is there any subtraction before the developer can proceed? Now, please, the next slide. So now, important consideration for what? For wireframe. Now, before you lay out your website, before you do your visual representation, there are some important things you must consider. Now, what is the benefit of a wireframe? It gives a clear communication and discussion about the solution. Now, before anything is being done, there's a clear communication between the UI designer and the project manager before things are being done. So now the terms is just to now it is not when you are designing a wireframe, you don't just jump into it and start doing it. So I'll be speaking more on what you have to put in consideration. Now, please, the next slide. Now, clarify the problem. Now, wireframe take much longer time. Even in the development process, wireframe take more longer time. So these are the things you must clarify before you design your wireframe. Now, what is the project? You must ask the team, the project management, or anyone who is assigning this for you. That, okay, what is the project? What problem is it solving? How do we know it's a problem? Who is it for? And where is the page or tools going to lie? Now, these are the things you must put in consideration before designing anything. Now, you must know the problem. You must know who you are designing it for. Now, you can't imagine a landing page for a kid or for an advertisement that the UI US is not very attractive. You can say that means they have low strategy of winning the heart of users. Now, please, can you go to the next slide? Now, there are other ways of retrieving information. Now, after you know the problem, you've known the problem, you've known who you are meant to develop the wireframe for. Now, another advantage is what you checking other related what projects related to what you are doing, and if there are customers in the front line, you might need to ask them also. That means maybe you went to an organization and they give you a project, you might need to ask the team member that are there previously about what and how things are being done there and what the company actually what preferred. Please, the next slide. So workflow and sketches. Now, what is workflow? Workflow is just how page interacts with one another, like how and sketch your wireframe. Now, what easy on it, get the workflow. Now, what this does is when you are by the management about something successful. Now, you can imagine you are just clicking a button and everything is working. It will like, wow, what happened when the user click on back? What happened when the form is submitted successful? So these are the questions that will be brought up in the workflow and the sketch sheet. Will it be available only on the mobile? These are the things you must consider. If you are designing a wireframe that will be mobile responsive, you have to put it in consideration. What happens when there is an error? Now, these are just a basic question that you'll be asked. Now, in the next one, our flow is no to the
Let's
next
go to
slide.
next time. Oh.
Yes. So this is just a simple illustration of the workflow. Now you can see this is a button here. This is just for a good example. This is just the URL of the
Look, I'm not the only person. I can't hear you very well.
I also can't hear him as well.
We can't hear you.
Faruk, please check your internet. It was breaking. It was fine before now, but within the last 3 minutes, it's been really bad.
please can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello, John.
Yeah. Yes, bro.
Okay, okay, okay,
Yes, I
okay,
can
okay.
hear you.
I said, okay. So I said this is just a workflow of how a website interact with one another. That means when you are clicking on a button, where to go to, where what will happen when there's an error. So you have to consider this when you are designing your wireframe. Please, the next slide, please. Okay, get what feedback easily. Now, what this does is you spending much of your time designing a wireframe, and you are not getting the feedback from the management. So this might cause a bit delay on what you are doing. So taking through the stakeholder process is likely to slow the developer, designer, and even project management. What I'm considering for possible solution. This happen incorporated and consider the technical limitation and other unforeseen circumstances. Now, imagine you are designing a wireframe and you are not getting it back from the management and you keep continue. Now, when you keep continuing, you might actually go back. So the best advice
I can't hear you, please.
Faruk, please check your network.
for me to modules. I said hello. It's okay.
You're back online now. We can hear you now, but you went off for a little while again.
Um, so can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes, I
Hello.
can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I said getting feedback was earlier. Now, you getting feedback earlier will enable you to what? You'll be more effective on what you are doing. Now, you can't imagine you just keep layouting your a website or a mobile app without showing the developer or the designer or the project what management about what you've been doing. So you have to what show your you can divide your wireframe into module, show your management um what you've been doing module by what module. So please can you move to the next slide? Now know your tools. Now please don't forget that what we've been doing is just what our layouting on the sheet of paper or on the tools, maybe a wireframe tools that Sorry, I think it's my internet. So as I've been saying, Sketch app was my tool that I use. So there are some issue that you might face during using your wireframe or tools. So myself spend much time trying to align object and manage what layout. Now these are one of the most important thing or most important difficulty wireframe UI/UX developer face, how to lay out their pages. So you might learn more, learning the key shortcut and building what template. Now, for you to be a good wireframe designer, you must learn how to use some other templates that or plugin that other ones developer have made for you. This will enable your wireframe to be more easier and more what effective. So please can I move to the next slide? Hello, please can I move to the next slide? So know your words, know your audience. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I said what you must put in consideration is what? Who is it meant for? Why are you designing this for? So these are the audience. Now, in designing a wireframe, we have
I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you.
different cases.
This is breaking again.
Use them. Now, start with
Bro, the line is breaking. No, can you adjust your network or do something about it?
I now if you check your right answer closest to what a prototype. So what of now? Okay. So please can you hear me now? Hello.
Faruk, please,
Yeah,
can you
I can
round
hear
up?
you.
Can you make it
What do
snappy,
you say?
please? Please, can you make it snappy and round up, please?
Okay. So now what high fidelity does is just very close to what your prototype. This means that the exact of how your website will look like. So that is how we design our high fidelity. Now this can be used when you are showing a novice or first stakeholder or project manager that are not with a website or with a programming or design. So why high fidelity are used to show it's just the same thing, but the difference there is just showing people that are more familiar with UI/UX for design. Please can I move to the next slide? The next slide, please. Hello, please can I move to the next slide? Okay. Building block of a good wire. One of the building block award a wire you must do your research and beyond. So difference. Now, why are you preparing your research developed by different UI/UX developer? So construct your outline, draft, write the draft, and final draft. Now you doing this will enable you not to go out of the what of the scope of what you are meant to go design. So please the next slide. Hello, please can I move to the next slide? Hello, can you move to the next slide? Hello, please can I move to the next slide?
I think she's offline as well. And then we're at 10 o'clock, so if you can round up. Sorry, I took a bit of the time, but so we don't affect other, what's the name for the day?
Okay, sir. Okay, make sure you have a what your user flow map out. Now, the user flow is just like a workflow also that shows how your pages interacted between one another. So when you're doing your wireframe, these are the building block of it. So because if you don't do that, your wireframe is going to be much more messy because you won't even understand what you're actually doing in a nutshell. Please the next slide. Okay, draft and don't draw, sketch and don't what illustrate. Now, one of the issue we have about why
While we wait for Faruk to come back, a quick correction, two quick corrections. One, please, guys, make sure you have good internet when you are to present KD. Imagine that you are presenting to the world because you're actually presenting to the world, and whatever it is that you do will be available when people Google your name. So bear that in mind. Second thing is please ensure you have video on, as I mentioned, so that we see both your slide and who is speaking to us. That is pretty much a standard when you do presentations of this nature. So please, let's bear those two things in mind. I hope I was audible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Brother Peter.
Yes, sir, you are.
All right, we're 3 or so minutes past the hour. So I'm just going to ask us to adjourn for today. Faruk is the KD owner, so I'm sure he will be able to maybe finish up tomorrow morning and then also ask people questions tomorrow so that it doesn't affect some of the other things that we have to do today. So thank you everybody for today. And please bear in mind that this is a compulsory session, as I mentioned, and also bear in mind that you will be presenting this session at least once a month, if not more than once a month. Bye, guys. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know if you have any announcement before we